listen to that old IDI purr. Is what I would be telling you if this sucker actually ran, but it don't. I don't even have keys for this sucker right now. We don't even know what happened to the keys for this old pickup truck, but yeah, anyhow. Screwing around with Robert's old 1979 Ford F350. I got this sucker kind of cleaned out right now. Got all the parts that I jammed in here out and kind of cleaning her up. So I think today we're going to go ahead and pop her open and see what's underneath these floorboards. I know we don't have a transmission inspection plate, so that's good. That'll make it pretty easy to find this rubberized carpet, because I don't think I'm going to be going with cloth. I definitely want to go back with this rubberized stuff. This truck's going to be going back to pretty much 100% original. I don't even think I'm going to rip out the radio. But we got to get rid of this old vinyl carpet, mostly because it's kind of covered in old rat turds, and I think it smells a little bit like mouse piss. They had kind of a few nests piled up here in the corner that you can't see, and it ain't the worst smell in the world, but you can still smell the mouse in this thing. So anyhow, you get to deal with Dirty Craig today. I'm set up to go ahead and work. I've gotten a few things cleaned out in here already, like I said. But I'll be rolling her up and around underneath this truck too, because we're going to be seeing about trying to figure out if I can swap out the saddle tank that came in this thing factory and get her swapped out for a saddle tank that I have sitting around that's out of an old, I think 86 or 87 Ford F350 that had the IDI in it. So stay tuned for that one. Anyhow, we'll go ahead and get this seat out of here, or at least loosened up, and start getting this carpet out, and let's see what we've got to deal with, huh? This should be fun. All right, now something that I did think to be interesting on this truck was that Alan, the old powder coater, had left a few toys back here. I don't know if you can see, but this was his old little spare parts, and I'm guessing toolbox. Left a few parts in here that I thought were interesting. Old battery tray, well actually battery clamp down support. Original service part from Ford. Just sitting in there. Weird place to find a part like that. Left a few mirror components in here. I left a few of the parts that we'd hauled in here, and then the speedometer cable. Old C-clamp, few other random things. Nothing special, but I thought this old box was kind of cool, especially with like the little brass hardware. I got to kind of tighten up some of it. It's a little loose. I don't know if you can see that. Probably can't. And it looks like this one got bent up and broke a little bit. But for what it is, it works fairly well. So I think I'll just go ahead and clean that up and leave that in the truck. Not bolted down or anything. And you have this little tool mat back here. I think I'm going to be taking that one out. I'll take that out and I'll figure out some way to kind of fill in these holes and make it not look a little weird. But another one that I thought that was kind of interesting is, when was the last time that you saw one of those? I may just clean that up and keep that in here. Get rid of that dent. I think that's cooler than hell. That's not something you see every day. And you can tell that she's been rattling around on that floor for a while. I'm guessing she was probably left sitting like this. Probably to avoid hitting the door latch. That might actually be where that dent come from. But anyhow, so we'll be getting this thing kind of torn out. The seat's kind of sagging and whatnot, but she's still in good shape. I might have to reupholster that with some truck vinyl. Like I said, we got a mess to kind of deal with down and around here. I'm really hoping that this right here has never had a major heater leak or windshield leak, because it looks like it might have gotten moist back there. And these little pads right here go all the way down the base of the floor. And when they get water to them, they keep that moisture on there and they rot out these floorboards. If you ever seen the floorboard for my 76, man, it is bad. So all of this is pretty mangled. Look at that. When was the last time you saw one built like that? Old McDonald's damn stir. I'll be having to wash my hands with fire after touching that. Anyhow, so we will go ahead and go to the time lapse. Let's go ahead and get this stuff ripped out. So I managed to get the carpet out of here. I managed to get most of the dirt out of here. I went ahead and I brushed this out just with an old hand brush that I have. The reason I didn't use a vacuum is that when I'm sucking all this stuff out with a vacuum, yeah, I'm sucking up fasteners and whatnot. I mean, that's not a big deal. Most of the stuff that's on the floor here is probably trash. But one thing is when I have stuff that I got going on that I had happening on the driver's side over here, of all the mud and nasty dirt buildup and all that that's been getting wet and then drying up and turning into big old dirt clods, I actually break that stuff apart. So I went ahead and I went through this. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it might have been, but we'll go ahead and take a look real quick. Go ahead and grab you. So what we're looking at here is the exhaust shield. So this is that kind of that heat shield that keeps the rubber from getting too hot and you don't get that nasty burning rubber smell, is actually still in pretty good shape. Here I've got some of the old like that pad buildup. I can probably knock this off. I've got like a little bit of surface rust, but nothing really bad, especially for you East Coast guys. I mean, yeah, you can kind of see some of the paint peel here. But I mean, this isn't nearly as bad as, like, say, my 76 was. It had a big old heater leak that nobody ever dealt with it. It looks like there's a couple holes in the floor here. That probably helped the pan deterioration over time. I think these holes right here were probably for a radio mount, is my guess. Because they did use this as a dispatched vehicle, and they do have a radio antenna surface mount on the top of the truck. So I'm betting that's probably what that was from. The driver's side isn't so great. I think I can probably get some vinegar mixed with a little bit of water maybe to clean that up. Just looks like surface rust. I don't think anything's down in there deep, and I think some of this is still kind of dirt. But it looks like when that floor pad started going out, they were walking around with muddy boots and stuff like that and wearing down to the surface right here of the floor and kind of wearing the paint off. Plus all that mud buildup, that's what caused all the rust, because that was sucking in all the moisture, especially when they had wet feet or whatnot. And so that there was causing some rot. So I'm going to see if I can try and get that kind of dealt with. Looks like all the wiring was left alone by all the mice. In tearing this apart, I found a big old rat's nest right here. Actually, I kind of left some of it sitting here on the floor or on the ground. Nasty thing, man. So anyhow, I found that kind of chunked up right here with a bunch of stuff. They pulled in a bunch of the old business cards, which I kind of kept one here. Thought that would be interesting to see. So I think that was the welder that was originally driving this truck. John Arnold. Looks like there's an old paint hook here too for hanging your work. Somebody was painting something in blue. So that was probably from when it was being used as an old painter's truck. So I don't think that Alan was lying to me about what this truck was being used for. I mean, it's kind of apparent, judging by everything that I found in here. A bunch of pens for the works and for Alan's powder coating business later on. So it looks like the floor is kind of well cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing out, kind of get it out of here. I don't know what I'll wind up ever using that for. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have the storage, but I don't have a use for that. And that's like those old Axios things that you could get in the 90s. And I was told that this thing was left registered, but I think when the motor had died, I was told it was probably about 91, 92 or so. So I think that's fairly accurate, and I think Alan just kind of kept the registration on this thing to kind of just park it in hopes of fixing it. Because I think I have registration up to 2006 or so. But anyhow, got the floor done. The pad that I was talking about before, I can get this to go ahead and pan around. It soaks up all that moisture is sitting up here. So that's the top of it, and this is going up and around like where the firewall would be. So that's your passenger floor. But anyhow, you can definitely tell that there was some moisture going on here. That may have just been from people's wet feet. I don't think that was from like a heater leak or anything. So thankfully, I did not find any build tags underneath this. So we're going to go ahead and check the seat. See if I can find a build tag. If I do, I'm going to go ahead and get some video of that there. Because normally the place they'd stick them was anywhere inside here, underneath the floor area. But I don't think they did that with the rubberized stuff. Although, who knows? They might not even done a build sheet on these trucks. So anyhow, that's the 79 all cleaned out. I'll go ahead and touch base as soon as I start getting this tank and start playing with that a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and see about ordering some rubber floor mat for this thing and see if we can replace that. I'll probably also put the seat back in her just so that way she's not outside rotting. I don't have a lot of room in the shop, so let's go ahead and call this one done. I think that's fairly good. Give me a like, subscribe. Everything always helps out. That helps me, gives you content like this. I will have a lot more coming of this truck and my others. That 76 back there included. That's going to be a fun one. I got a lot of details for that. I've just been waiting for a little bit better weather so that way I can do some long period videos for that. Have something a little longer for you, or even just kind of chunk them up. But yeah, I think that looks fairly good. For a 79, she's in good shape. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and I'll go ahead and see you on the next one.